year is here. Another Christmas carol song for those we hold dear. So Merry Christmas, one and all. Merry Christmas cheer. Remember those don't have enough this day and all the year. And in the early morning hours, the sky's so overcast. The children at the window pane in hopes for snow at last. So Merry Christmas, one and all. Merry Christmas cheer. Remember those don't have enough this day and all the year. Dark of night, the deepest winter freeze. May we open up our hearts again for the least of these. So Merry Christmas, one and all. Merry Christmas cheer. Remember those who don't have enough this day and all the year. Christmas, one and all. Merry Christmas cheer. Remember those don't have enough this day and all the year.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to a Christmas special here on IPA Sessions. We're welcoming back to the show Daniel Keiser, who's here to talk all about his amazing children's book. It's Christmas themed. And of course, that was his song, an original Christmas song, Merry Christmas, One and All. You can check it out on Spotify. Go to his YouTube page. Links are in the show notes. Thank you all for tuning in. Happy holidays and welcome to IPA Sessions. Welcome to IPA Sessions, a podcast for independent artists. As always, I'm your host, Kay Jacob, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah to everyone. I'm so excited. It is that time of year. This is our Christmas special, and we brought back a special guest. You were just listening to his original Christmas song, Merry Christmas, One and All, from the Daniel Keiser Band. And here to hang out with us again today for this special Christmas episode is Daniel Keiser. He doesn't need an introduction. We've already had him on, so say hi.
Hey, thanks for inviting me back.
Hey, thank you. It's kind of back to back. I know we talked about your music the last time, and today we have you on for another special reason, but I want to discuss your music still. You were kind enough to let us use Merry Christmas, One and All, an original Christmas song by you guys, by your band. And of course, you also have an instrumental Christmas full length album out. Can you tell us
Hmm.
a little bit about that so anyone listening this time of year can have some fun music to jam to, especially for those long vacation travels?
Yeah, that'd be really cool if they did. The album came out first, and it's all instrumental. Um, yeah, so our Christmas album is an instrumental album with my guitar, my fingerstyle guitar, Susan's electric guitar, her violin, and her mandolin. And we wrote the arrangements of the song. We collaborated on it together, and we tried to take these melodies that were common and people would recognize, and we tried to do it in a different style. And I think it came out really great. I can't say that about all our tracks with on the other album. There's certain things that I was like, well, we should have done this a little differently. But on this one, every single song, I think we really nailed it, and it came out fantastic. So yeah, I hope
Awesome.
people listen. The single came out about a year or so later, and sometimes I challenge myself and I say, can I write a Christmas song, an original one that sounds Christmas and where the chord changes are a little bit quicker? A lot of Christmas carols, sometimes there's a chord change on every melody note that changes. It's really strange. Like, "Oh come all ye faithful," there's a chord change
Yeah.
almost on every word that's sung.
Is it
So I
kind of
was
like
trying to,
traditionalist in a way? Like it's a
yeah,
traditionalist
almost
sound, I
like
guess.
old
So you
hymns.
know.
Yeah. Hmm. So yeah, so I came up with this chord progression. I showed it to Susan, and then I just began to write, and I just began to write lyrics for it. Um, and we went into Tom Riak's studio, and he helped us record it, and he suggested that there be children's voices at the end. So I think I mentioned this last time in the podcast that I had a friend who was a second grade teacher, and I mentioned it to her. And Tom was like, uh, do you have any connections with little kids, preferably girls?" And I says, "Not really, but let me check it out." So I talked to her, and she goes, "I know the perfect kids for this." And she brought five little girls. They were in fifth grade, and I said I would buy them ice cream or lunch afterwards if they come to the studio that day. And I gave them the track of the song, and then I gave them a lyric sheet for the chorus. And man, they were prepared and they were so excited to do it and they were ready.
That's so
And
cool.
so that's how we decided to end the song with children's voices. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds great. It's what we just listened to as well. So I love it. Smart.
Awesome.
I like
Yeah.
that. And I do appreciate you taking a little moment to talk about the Christmas music. And I really enjoyed the instrumental track because again, it's that awesome kind of bluesy, folky sound that you have, and then
I
the
think I
what I call
lost
the
you a little bit.
Trans Siberian rock, little electric guitar in there coming into play, which I thought was really cool. I really enjoy that bluesy folk rock with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra kind of sound to it because of your electric guitar. I would love to see a fan out there or someone in the band, maybe you guys, laying down your own lyrics to it as well, because I think it would add something unique to that. Like the instrumental is great, but it has such a different sound. It's similar because it's traditional, but it's also your thing. So I'd love to see someone use that as a track to sing to see how they can perform lyrically. I think that would be really interesting. But that's just me
That would
being,
be cool.
giddy with the Christmas spirit here.
Yeah, that
so
would be cool.
we brought you on today though because we're going to talk about your children's book. You are also an author, which you have mentioned before, and I'm really excited because this is a book called I Have Questions. I got a copy. Thank you so much. It's been a really fun
Yes.
read. And
Yeah, I have it
just
right
a
here too.
warning, right? Just a warning for any parents out there listening with children. You might want to pause right here because we are going to get into a deep discussion about Santa Claus. And there might be spoilers in there. And if you have children that are maybe 10 or younger, or that you feel may not be ready for the real conversation just yet, please pause because we're going to get into all kinds of fun discussions about Santa. So I'm just going to allow you guys that moment, and then we're going to jump back into this conversation. Um, but the few things I'd like to discuss first is you wrote this, and you had an amazing illustrator and an editor. It's like a whole team. I have a hardback copy, which I think is great. Daniel,
Hmm.
kind of take us through, first of all, what is I Have Questions? What is this book about? And then take us through your process, please.
Okay, it's about two children, brother and sister, Maggie and Willie. Maggie is a little bit older than Willie. Uh, Willie is a fun character. He's kind of a knucklehead, and she's more the thinker. And she has questions because she's starting to be suspicious about whether Santa Claus really exists. And she has this dream of this cabin where she thinks Santa Claus lives. And it's across, they live in a very rural area. It's up on this mountain. She sees this little cabin. It was in her dream. And then she decides to take a hike to get to that cabin to find out for herself if Santa Claus is real. Her father often warned the children not to climb that mountain without an adult, but she decides to go on her own. But just then, Willie wakes up and wants to go with her. And she's not keen on that idea, but he threatens her and says, I'll tell mom and dad if you don't take me with you. So she has to
Classic
take Willie with
sibling
her.
rivalry story.
Yes.
Got to tag
So,
along the little
to
brother.
make a long story short, they travel up the mountain, and on the way, they meet three characters who each give them a little bit of insight on their way, insight about how to get to the cabin, but also little insights about life itself, about bravery, about other things. And so they continue, and eventually they get to the cabin, knock on the door, and they meet somebody there. And he invites them in, and he begins to unfold and tell them the whole story of Santa Claus. Um, and so that's where the kind of the history lesson comes in, but it breaks it to the child in a very gentle and inclusive way, where now you are part of this magical club and you can now share the joy with children who are younger than you. And in being part of that magical club that knows about Santa Claus, um, the book breaks it in a very gentle but inclusive way. And it has a real cool ending to it, and it has a history lesson in there. And yeah, I think it's something that I thought about for a while, because I thought about how I found out about Santa Claus, how my children found out about Santa Claus, and it's not always pleasant, right? It's
Yeah.
sometimes some bully or some kid across the street ruins it, and then the kid comes home upset or angry with his parents for lying to him or whatever. So this will hopefully soften the blow for some parents, and
Um,
help the children understand.
I'd like to just say, as a parent, I really enjoyed this book. I was telling you, thank you for the gift. We're going to read it to my son next year. We want him to have. He's 8 this year, so we really want him to have, that real last magical Christmas before every kid in the next grade. Next year they start talking. That's usually about the age that they start. Some kids are spitting it out there. Other parents, we let it slip. It happens. It's the world we live in. There's access to the internet and YouTube. But I wanted to have one
Right.
more magical Christmas, and my kid's no dummy; he's a smart kid. But I think next year will be really fun to read to him, because what I'm not sure he's aware of is that, yeah, you may not think Santa's real, but there was a real person that it is extremely based off of, and I think that
Right.
is really cool. I love the way you break down the history behind it, the story behind it, the hint at the different religions that use the influence of it for Christmas time, how it all kind of comes together, and what the meaning of Christmas is about. And I thought that was really sweet. I thought it was very smart. And like you said, it's a great way to soften the reality to a child. I love the book. I thought it was wonderful, and it's a great tool to help your kids see that. And there's also still, even with the reality of what you've showed us in this book, there's still a hint of that Christmas magic. There's still a moment where you're reading it. Even as an adult, I'm reading it and I'm like, huh, there's still that moment of like, I still believe in Santa. And I thought that was really
Right.
nice. It still made me feel like,
Exactly.
I can still believe in Santa. I like this concept. So very well done. The book is beautifully illustrated, by the way. I want to talk about these illustrations. They are really cool. It reminds me of, when I was a kid, we had these Christmas books. Some of the classic, like, what is it? Was a Silent Night when all was sleeping. That classic
Hmm.
children's book, where one page is writing, the other page is just portrait image, and you have those portrait images in
Exactly.
there. So it has a very classic Christmas story vibe to it, where you get to read everything and it flows really well. And then as you're reading it, the portrait kind of shows you everything in one image. The illustrator that you had was Geraldine Marrero, and I apologize, did I say that right?
Yes. Hmm.
Tell me a little bit
Yep.
about her. How did you guys connect, and what inspired this really cool artwork?
Yeah, she's a friend of ours for many, many years, and I thought about different people that I could ask to illustrate the book. My next book, my daughter is actually illustrating it. Um, Geraldine is a graduate from Parsons Art College, and she teaches cartooning courses and other art courses, and she's been doing it for, oh, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And so I asked her to do it, and she was right on board. When I told her about the story, she was so excited about it. So I had just finished writing it. Some edits had to be done, so I sent her the manuscript, and I outlined what pages that I would need an image for, and then I gave her the freedom to just create. And and she just did a wonderful job. Yeah. So um, yeah, I think it's really cool. Another thing that you were saying before is it not only gives the history of Santa Claus himself, but it tells about how it has changed over time. Santa Claus's image changed, and certain things evolved and grew as time went on, which I think it's really
Mm.
cool for the kids to know. How did
Right,
this
like the
person
quote unquote Coca-Cola Santa.
exactly? Yes. And how did he get to be this image today? So I think that's really cool, and it's also good for children who already know or have just recently found out. It's good to read that to them as well, or let them read the book. Say, oh, that's what was going on all this time, you know.
Yeah.
So
And as a history nerd, I just love the history aspect in general. And I think it's
yeah,
cool when you
cool.
get a kid that can read it and be like, oh, so this is the real story. And it's like, yeah, this is what really went down. And then here's how it's changed in society over the years. And I think that's cool that it breaks
Right.
that down. And again, the illustrations are really good. Um, what was it like for you to get this ball rolling? Like, what made you decide to write a children's book? And then how did you go about doing this? Take me through your technical process as best you can.
I know my wife always says that my mind never stops. I'm always thinking of new things, and I can't stop doing the next thing. So I just woke up with this story one morning. I started writing it, and then late at night I finished it. And I always wanted to write children's books that dealt with children's issues. So I have outlines for other books. My next book is called Because I Said So, and I hope that is out the first quarter of next year.
That
And
sounds exciting.
right, it's about why children should listen to their parents, even though at this age they don't understand the why, how it doesn't make much sense. And it's
Because I
a
said so.
because I said so. And that seems like kind of an unfair thing for parent to say, without an
Yeah.
explanation. But sometimes the child is too young to understand the explanation. And so it's a fun book that has a pet in it, and the child wants the pet to behave a certain way, but the pet's not always going to understand why. Like, doesn't want it to go to the bathroom in the house. The pet has no idea why that should be a rule. So it kind of uses that. The book also has words in the book that are not words. They're funny words that I've made up. So to help with the child's reading comprehension as well, that they can really get the gist of this word that really isn't a word just by the context of the sentence or paragraph that it's in. And so I made up these
Yep.
goofy words and inserted them in the book as well.
I want to point out too, just to interject real quick, even in I Have Questions, you didn't, use a lot of big words, but occasionally there was one that was used, but it was very appropriately used because I think it allowed the child that's reading it to basically have a learning moment of like, oh, what is this new word? What is the meaning behind it? And it was very subtle.
Right,
It's still a very, very easy read. And I think for any kid, at least, I want to say at least 7 to 8 and older, it's a very easy read. And there might be one or two big words in there, but it's a great opportunity to learn what those words mean. So I thought your use of the language
right.
was very well done.
So cool that you picked up on that because that's big in all our books. Um,
Well, I
I
mean,
have
you used to
another
be an
one.
educator. I should have expected that.
Yeah. I have another idea for one called colors, where there's words that are colors that are used, but not for the color. They're used in a different way. Like green could mean new, or green could mean envious. Red could mean hot or angry. So it's written in such a way that the child would have to understand the different meaning of the color word. Yellow could mean scared. Um, so and stuff like that. And then I have other outlines written for I want to deal with divorce. I think society does a really bad job with children when it comes to divorce and explain what's going on. I want to have a book for that, one for bullying, which we could never seem to get away from. So another book is about diversity, which deals with prejudice. And since we're us humans, we're so tribal in our thinking sometimes, thinking of
Yeah.
different groups of people as less or not as good as we are. I want to deal with that issue as well. So I have a whole bunch of them that as time goes on, I want to try to put out a couple a year if I can, that deal with issues that children deal with. Oh, the other one is about loss. Like, how do
Okay.
you explain to your child if they lost a pet or a dog that they love? That explanation is never good enough.
It's always a tough conversation.
Exactly. No matter how great a parent you might be, that's a really tough issue to tackle. So I'm doing research on what psychiatrists say to children to help them deal with the loss, or even the loss of an adult, a parent, a sibling, and try to incorporate that into the book to relate it to the loss of a pet. I don't want to go into like a book about somebody whose mother's died. That's no fun to read for a kid. But if you're talking about a pet and
Yeah.
understanding that,
A gentle start.
gentle start, yes. So
I love these
that real
ideas
face.
and right. I love these concepts and these ideas. I think it's smart. Like I said, the Christmas book is wonderful. I Have Questions. It's great. I'm looking forward to seeing Because I Said So. Um, but was the Christmas book was your first, right? It is the first official one that you've done and published.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So,
That was the first
just to
one.
kind of get back into that flow. So yeah, my question is, what was the next step? You wrote it out and you had all these great ideas for other books, which I'm assuming you wrote those down as well. But how did you go about getting this published? How did you get about, getting the pen to paper and like putting it out there? What was your steps to making this happen?
Right. What I would suggest, and some mistakes I learned along the way, once you've written your book, don't share it with anyone until it's finished or almost finished. And because there's so many naysayers out there, or some people will just give you dumb advice. Now, it's not bad to take advice, especially from somebody maybe who's written before or about technical things like English punctuation and stuff like that. But people say, "Oh, that wouldn't sell," or "You're one." Uh, One criticism I got is, "Well, it's such a limited audience. It's kids who are like between 10 and 12 or 13 years old. You'll never sell that many books." Well, that's really not the point. The point is, I want to target that group. That's the group that needs to hear this book. And I
It's the
don't care
developing
about,
stage.
yeah, I don't care about the marketing part of it. So then I went to look for different publishers, and I checked out a few, and I landed on Book Baby, and you might have heard of them. They're getting pretty big, and I really like them for the most part. there was a couple things that I didn't like, that I felt like they could have done more um, with the promoting and marketing part of it. Um, once you're in, I felt like they didn't do a great job there. But as far as producing the book, making it look good, accessible, having your own link on in their company's website is really cool. So each author has their own link on that site. So you
Well,
can
that's
get
neat.
right to the author, right to the book very easily. And yeah, so I you have to send it to them. There's a format that you have to use. It's quite an extensive process, but um, there's thing I'll be better at it the next time around. So I
Yeah.
learned a lot in doing that, and they were good. They were willing to answer questions. You could just call them anytime, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Um, yeah, so it was published, and I said I want to have this out by October, because I want to really market it and do the whole social media thing. And
Did
and they
having
were
your
great
friend
about it.
Jerry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did having your
No,
friend
go ahead.
Jerry illustrate for you, did that help with getting it published as well, with them picking it up? Or were they also like trying to tell you, like, hey, you need to have images? Basically, I'm asking, did you have your illustrator work hand in hand with you before you got this sent off?
Yeah, I had her working on it before. I was in communication with them, and they have some good suggestions and stuff. But they're pretty open to your ideas. They let you be creative. I thought they're pretty good that way. Yeah, I didn't send the book off to them until I had all the pictures done and everything in order the way it was going to be. And then you have to upload it into a certain format that they suggest that you use. And so that, and they're very good. They let you be creative. They have good suggestions and stuff, but um, they respect your creativity and stuff. So they didn't ask me to change too many things.
It's
So
excellent. So pretty decent company to try and work through. And obviously
yeah,
you
it
have more
is.
ideas and more books, and you have another one that's coming out soon. I'm assuming can't went through the same publishing house.
Yeah, I think so. Um, I'm not 100% sure if there's other ones out there that are a little bit cheaper. I don't know, but I'll probably go with them. That way, all my books will be on that same tab on their website.
Okay. And I
So I'll
noticed
probably
too,
stick with them.
I appreciate you sharing this information. I also noticed that your book, you have an editor, Cara Schwaller. Were they a part of the company, or is that another friend of yours that helped you kind of edit this together as well?
Yeah, that's a guy who does the videos for our band, Kirk Jarvis. That's his sister, Kara.
Kara.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, she's like an English language genius. She's really good at this. So I asked her if she would edit the book. So it's just a sister of a friend of mine, who now we're close friends too. It was really cool, and I think she did a nice job.
Excellent. So, one of the things I like discussing on this is the financial aspects of everything that we do as independent
Hmm.
artists. Going through this process, writing the book, collaborating with an illustrator, having a friend also help you edit it so that it looks good and presentable, getting a publishing house to actually put it out there in a form, that physical copy that people can have to make a profit from. Has this been a fun financial investment for you, or is it something that you feel like is actually kind of worth the time?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's a great question. It was a little bit of expensive to do. So, for example, I have to sell 220 of these books to break even with the cost that I put out. Um, Amazon, I don't know if people know about Amazon is a great company, but it's people who sell books and sell merchandise. um, Amazon is not that fair, and
No, not at
you
all.
can
We've discussed
understand
that.
why they're billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar company. But to give you an example, for every book I sell, I get $1.32 from Amazon, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Um, And they set the price of the product too. They don't allow you to set the price. I mean, you could suggest the price, but if they think it's too high or too low, they'll say, no, this is your price. So they have a lot of control over what they do. So
Okay.
they made my book $24.99 when I want it to be $19.99. They said no, they wouldn't do it unless it's $25. I think that's a lot for a kid's book. I don't know what other people think, but so through Book Baby, what I did was, since the price of the book is $25, I have a promo code, which is the word questions. If you type in the word questions in the promo code, it takes $5 off. So I found like a way around it where I could
There you
still
go.
give the book for $19.99.
And we do have links in the show notes for anyone listening and you want to get a copy of this book, maybe as a really great Christmas gift next year for some older kids in your family or with your friends. I highly
Right.
recommend it, and check out that promo code.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. And that'll immediately take $5 off. So Amazon is good. So if you sell 1,000,000 books, obviously $1.32 is great, right? Um, but if unless you're selling 1,000,000 books or even 500,000 books, I don't think $1.32 is that great out of $25. So the
Right.
book publisher gets about half for printing on demand, and then out of the other half, Amazon gets like 80% or something like that, or
We
it's kind of
a
crazy.
friend of the show, our composer Ericka, who composes the music, the theme music for our show. She's also an author as well, and she wrote a really great children's fantasy, or I'd say young teen fantasy series. And she
Hmm.
self-published and did it through Amazon, and she went through a lot of the same struggles and mentioned a lot of similarities of what you're discussing now. And I love
Right.
that even though you found your own publishing place outside of it, Amazon's still a marketplace. People are still going to buy through there, and it's a
Yeah.
shame that they don't work better with with different people. I guess they should work better with
They're,
the authors, with the what's the word I'm looking for? With the
right.
artists. Anyone out there
Yes.
trying to make some, I don't know. It's
They're
Amazon. What
they're
are you gonna
so
do?
big. Yeah, they're so big that they actually don't even have to be sensitive to the
No.
people that they work with, to their vendors.
It's the same
So
issues that I'm starting to see with Spotify and content creators.
yes.
So
Oh, don't
suddenly they
get me
get too big for
started.
their britches, and it's like I'm basically just doing this for free. There's no more pennies of a dollar. Like I'm not even getting jack. I'm just
Yes,
doing this because I love it, and that's why I'm doing it. Like at least I have a
I
platform that
know.
I can put something out on. I'm not expecting income with it, but when you're creating something like a book, because and you want to create more books, you have to put money and time into this. It's a profit on your end. So it would be nice to have some financial gain from that. And it's not fair that you
Yes,
have bigger conglomerates out there that keep you from being able to do that. But it is good
yes.
to
For
know that
example,
you're sharing this with us so people can be aware of that.
yes. Last quarter, my music, I made $18. And when I get the sheet, I'm like happy. I'm like, wow, I've seen a lot of people are streaming my music and I made 18 bucks. Like, are you kidding me? Like, so this is what artists and musicians are dealing with, and people like yourself. Like, yeah, it's pretty
Mhm.
much just advertising. I'm waiting for some other big name person to open up another platform, because Pandora is the same way. We're on Pandora, Apple, Amazon Music. They're all pretty much the same. No one's paying that much more than the other one. But I'm
Yeah.
waiting for somebody to open up one that would say, oh, the artists and musicians are going to make more money on this platform. We're more fair to our people, and they can still make their millions and billions of dollars, you know.
Right.
So it'll
Well,
happen. I might be dead by the time it happens, but
hey, your kids will be taken care of.
that's right.
Daniel, I
Yeah.
really appreciate as always coming on. I know this is a bit of a shorter conversation today because we're just focusing on the book.
Hmm.
But I appreciate you taking us through like how you put everything together, the amazing people that you worked with that were willing to help out as well. Probably also all having to do this for free to a point. And just having that collaboration, that group effort. It's an incredible book. It's called I Have Questions. I highly recommend it. As you mentioned earlier, if you go to the links in the show notes and put in the promo questions. You'll get $5 off of
Hmm.
that. Is there anything else that you would like to share about this book before we move into the fun questions segment?
No, I think that's it. I think it's a fun book. It's an informative book. I think I've gotten nothing but positive feedback from everyone who's read it. So, yeah, thank you
Mhm.
so much for helping me promote it.
Of course, yeah. As one parent to another, it's really nice to have what I consider to be a tool to help talk to my kid about the hard conversations. I really need you to get on those other books because I could use those helpful tools.
I will.
um,
I definitely will.
the parents will love it. The kids may not get it, but they'll understand it later. um,
Yes.
So let's move into some fun questions, just like last time. And the first one being, of course, what was the biggest challenge that you faced as an author, as putting this book together? It could be something that you overcame, or maybe it's something that you're still working on when it comes to this book.
Once you have an idea, the writing comes easy if you're passionate about what you're writing about. Like the ideas, for me anyway, flow very easily. The hard part was dealing with publishers and getting it published and getting all the details of the book right, the order of everything. It was a lot of back and forth for a while before we got it right. Um, so the whole technical part, just like with music, it's the whole technical recording part. That's the creating is fun,
Yeah,
and goes pretty easily. Yeah. So
I mean, putting it together is always the fun part.
yeah, yeah,
It's what comes after. You got
exactly.
to get technical.
Yes.
Moving this along, again, we talk about the unexpected. You with the music world that you know a lot and experience a lot. I feel like as an author, this is something that has been more new to you outside of your education world that you come from. But I do feel like as an
Hmm.
author, this might be something new to you. But I assume that you may have had certain expectations. But was there anything unexpected that just completely caught you off guard when trying to go about getting this book made? Did anything kind of catch you off guard that you're like, oh, did not see that coming?
Yeah, I think one thing, like the company promises that you will be on Barnes and Noble, like in Target bookstore section, like all these different things, and it's not really true. Those companies will not include you even on their website until they have a certain number of people asking for your book. You have to have so many requests by people before they will actually put you on their site or put you in their stores. And I didn't know that. So I thought the fee that I was paying automatically, oh, I'm going to be on their website at least, even if they don't physically carry the book in their store. And I go to the Barnes and Noble site and I find out that I'm not there. But you have
Oh,
to have so many requests before they'll actually put you up there.
all
So
right.
that
Read
that
the
was a
fine line.
surprise. Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
definitely unexpected, especially because you're like you said. I was thinking the same thing. Well, like okay, you may not be physically on the shelf, but surely you're on the digital. I mean, that's where people mostly go to buy nowadays.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
I could see how that might be a real unexpected annoyance, man. So people put those
Right.
requests in. Let's get you at Barnes and Nobles. Let's put you on the shelf.
Yeah.
So Daniel, last time we talked about the hard realities, the facts of life, things that we can't change it. It's out of our control. It is what it is. So my question for you is, as an author, creating this book, getting it out there, what has been a hard reality for you that you've had to deal with and accept? What's that been for you?
Yeah, I think the hardest part about this is the marketing and advertising. Dominique Collins was great. He had some videos created for me that he put on TikTok. I put on my Facebook and Instagram, and we just put it out there. I paid for some ads to boost um, the advertisement. That part of it is hard. Um, there's companies out there that you could pay to do that, but even more than what I paid Dominique. But but it gets really expensive. So
Yeah.
unless you have the financial backing, um, it's tough. It's a tough world out there. There's a lot of competition.
I mean, it's kind of like stating the obvious. We live in a capitalist society, so the hard reality is always going to be marketing. But I have to say,
Yes.
kudos to Dominique for being Jolly Saint Nick out there, helping you out with that outside of the music world.
Yes.
I like that guy more and more. He does a lot of great things, especially for his
Me
clients.
too.
So,
Yes,
um,
me too.
but that's cool, man. I'm glad that it's a part of the journey that others can prepare themselves for as well, to be ready to anticipate that, like, when you're doing this, when you make a book, you do want profit out of this, and you're going to have to put some money up on your end, because, like you stated earlier, fees, getting it out there, navigating that publishing world, navigating Amazon. So yeah, man, thank you for sharing that with us. Let's
Hmm.
lighten the mood a little bit, though. Let's talk about the fun things. What for you has been the most valuable takeaway from the creation of this book, from being an author? What has been something that has really helped you become a better artist?
Yeah, I think I just love the whole creative process and putting it together, whether it's writing or whether it's writing music. Um, the whole process is fantastic. I love writing, recording music, um, and seeing an idea come to life. And then the best part is when you see somebody smile or nod their head. And I remember, this relates to music, but this guy, one guy in the audience, he came to see me. It was a very small venue, and he's sitting there with his arms folded. It looks like a hard ass. And then I could actually, as I kept glancing over as we were playing, I could see his whole body language begin to relax. And soon he's nodding his head to the music like this, like, and just that alone, like, the sound of our music broke that guy down, that hard exterior shell, at least that I was perceiving anyway.
You
So
opened them
just to
up like a
see,
book, pun intended.
yes. And so the same thing with the book, to have people just say they read the book and they loved it and they can't wait to share it with their child. It's just a good feeling.
That's excellent. I mean, it shows that it definitely helped you improve as an artist, because you not only had this idea of wanting to put more books out there, but you are actively doing so. One of them coming out soon, and then others
Hmm.
that you're prepping and preparing for. So I think that's a wonderful takeaway, to have the ability to get the feedback that you want from others, to be able to I guess the way share, in a way, like have them really feed off of what you're putting out there, and to experience that with you. It's a wonderful
Hmm.
way to grow too, because it helps you see, like, all right, this is working, I like this, and it keeps you motivated. And speaking of being motivated, what's your drive? What motivates you to do this?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not motivated. I'll be sitting on the couch saying, you got to get your ass up and you got to do something positive today, right? I guess we all go through that. But I really want to leave a footprint here on this earth. I really do. I really want to touch the lives of the people around me, that before you leave this place. Um, we all have to be here for a reason, and it's, I don't think it's just to earn money and get more toys. That can't be it. I think we should, each of us, when we leave here, can say that the world is a little bit of a better place because I was here on this planet. So I think that's what motivates me, really.
It's a good motivation. I like it. We talked about unexpected earlier, and we also discussed the want that you had to want to create these books to help children. What did you expect from all of this? What did you expect from putting this book out there?
Yeah, I don't know if I had any expectations. I wanted this one for my kids and my grandkids first and foremost, and then if also other children and parents could benefit from it, that was good enough for me. You know, if it sells 200 copies or 2 million copies, it didn't really matter as long as it touched some people's lives.
There you go. I like that. It's the real Christmas spirit, the gift of giving without expecting to receive anything in return. Look at you
Right.
sliding in that Christmas magic.
That's correct. And that's part of the book too, is like
Yeah.
where Maggie says, but our parents don't get any credit for giving these gifts. And then the last character, he says, "Oh, now you're beginning to understand. That's really what it's all about."
It honestly wasn't until I was an adult and I had my son come into my life and I got to spend my first Christmas with him and his mother because I'm a stepdad. So he was 3. It was my first Christmas experience with a kid of my own. And I got him a gift that I spent a year with him and knowing like what he likes and what he doesn't like. And I was able to give him that first gift. And I gave him his first gift, but it didn't come from me. It didn't, because at the time he just called me my Jacob. He didn't call me dad yet. We just getting to know each other. So he got a gift from Santa. And I remember him opening that gift and loving it. And it was the first time I had that experience of like, cool, I don't need the credit. I did good. Santa worked his magic and my kid was happy.
Right.
And it's such an incredible feeling to have that gift of giving without receiving anything in return. It truly is how the spirit
Exactly.
should be when it comes to that holiday
Yes.
spirit. So yeah, man, that's a really great thing to want, especially because you weren't wanting it, you weren't expecting it. It's just that's what naturally happens is that gift that you give to
Yeah.
others. Sorry, we're getting a little
Exactly.
sappy here, but hey, it's Christmas times. Feel the spirit.
Exactly. It's wonderful. Yeah.
I just want to wrap this all up with is there any advice that you would like to share with anyone out there? You've already given us a ton of information on, finding publishing and, doing your work, being aware of how marketing could affect you, learning how structure and formatting can be. But do you have any advice for anyone else out there that wants to make a children's book or just be an author in general and put a book out there?
They say one of the habits of highly successful people is to create lists, right? And I'm a list person. If you wake up that morning, you have a cup of coffee or tea and write a list, I'd like to accomplish these 5 or 6 or 8 things. And if you knock off 2/3 or 3/4 of them, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, right? And so sometimes it's hard to know where do I start? There's so many parts to this. Is just make a list. On this day, I'm going to do these things and I'm going to knock them off and I'm going to get them done. Like with you, you're recording. Okay, I got to do this. I have to edit the recording. I got to, you have your list of things that you need to do. Otherwise, you could get kind of drowned in all the little parts to what you're doing and not really ever accomplish anything. At least that's what works for me anyway. Just to organize your thoughts. It's important, and then just go for it, make it happen.
Are you sure you're not secretly Santa? Because there's a lot of Christmas themes going around. You make lists, you give a gift without expecting anything in return. What's happening
That's
here?
right.
We're supposed to
Check it
talk about,
twice.
I just have to say I have questions, Daniel. I have questions. No,
Good. That's a good thing.
I really do appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for, taking the time out of your super busy schedule. Tell the folks out there about the Daniel Keiser Band, any performances coming up. This is airing right now during the Christmas holiday. So if you have any performances coming up, maybe shortly after New Year, let folks know. And of course, please put your book out there. There will be links in the show notes, but tell everyone where they can go to find this book.
Yeah, you could go to the Book Baby website and click on their store or go to store.bookbaby.com. And there's just put I have questions in the search and it'll pop right up. Um, and Yeah, we for next year we have a couple of gigs planned so far. We're back at the Lizzie Rose in Tuckerton, New Jersey, and then we're at Stockton University also in March. So the gigs are starting to roll in, which is really cool. If anybody has any venues out there that they're connected with and they want to pass our name along, feel free. It's Daniel Keiser Band. It's Keiser. And you can go to danielkaiser.com or danielkaiserband.com, danielkaisermusic.com. I got all of them. So,
That's right.
and
All bases
yeah,
are
and
covered.
contact us that way. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember,
So,
guys, when you go to the publishing website to check out his book, if you decide to get a copy, don't forget to put in that promotion questions and get $5
yes.
off. And you support an incredible author and you get to share a little bit of the Christmas magic with your kids, especially if you have older ones that are going through that phase of learning what's real and what's not.
Yes. Thank you
Let's
so
keep.
much.
No problem, man. Thank you. I had a fun time, talking to you. I know we've had some technical issues here recording, but they won't know. We edit really well. Uh, but I really appreciate sharing in the joy of the Christmas spirit, that holiday atmosphere, and just the the overall joy of the holidays. I love this time of year, and honestly, like I said, as a parent, I didn't really get into the holidays until I had a child in my life. And so it makes it more
Yeah.
meaningful. But even for those of you out there that don't have kids, if you have nieces, nephews, your best friends have children, this is something really cool to look into, especially if they're going through that phase of life where you're like, I don't know what to get them. This is a great opportunity. And you support an incredible author. And for your friends, hook them up with some Daniel Keiser music. You can't go wrong.
Absolutely.
I normally don't do a lot of promos like this, but I just want to put your information out there and appreciate you coming on for our Christmas special. So thank you for taking your time, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
To listeners out there, I will see you all in the new year. See everyone next year. And until next year, stay golden. Thanks for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, please rate and review, like and subscribe. Every little bit helps. And as always, the theme music of the show is provided by the Ericka page. And our brand new graphic designs are all thanks to Quality Artworks. Links are in the show notes. Go support these amazing indie artists just like they support IPA Sessions. And of course, please follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's at IPA Sessions Podcast. And if you or someone you know is an independent artist looking to promote their work or just share their story with us, please hit me up at ipasessionspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, everyone, and I hope you're able to find some inspirations for practical applications